I think we did become addicted to the success and the fame and the views and the money. And, you just do, right? They're almost designed that way, those apps. And so you have to be very careful.
We are Moms Unhinged, a nationally touring stand-up comedy show. Join us in our podcast as we explore everything from motherhood, midlife crisis, marriage, divorce, online dating, menopause, and other things that irritate us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moms Unhinged, the podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Marie, and I am so excited, you guys. This guest that is joining us today is absolutely amazing. She has over 24 million social media followers. She is an author, a comedian, an actress. She's done so much, and most importantly, a mom. So welcome, Laura Clery.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I am so excited to dive into the things that you've done with parenting, but also your book. I've been reading your upcoming book, you guys. I'm gonna mention it right away because I love it. It's What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Hotter. It's coming out July 14th everywhere, but I have been totally riveted by this book. You guys, you have to get it because it's so good, the story, and you're so funny. You're so funny.
Thank you.
First of all. But I want to get into a little bit of how you started with your journey and like everything went viral. You were trying to be an actress. And tell us a little bit about that moment when things kind of went viral online for you.
Well, I moved out here. We're from the same exact place.
I know. You guys,
We're
I have
from
to tell you.
a few miles from
We are. We're from two towns apart. We grew up 2 towns apart. I probably could be your mom, but like
I don't know about that, but
would have been a very young mother. But but it's so fun. You grew up in Downers Grove. I grew up in Wheaton. We're just talking about that and just the like lifestyle that was just so wholesome back then.
Yeah, it really was. I think a pretty idyllic place to grow up. You're just running around in the streets.
Yeah.
Safe, fun. We knew everyone in the neighborhood, but still like right by Chicago. So, you know what I mean? It's not like Southern Illinois, which, no shade, but it was cool that we got Chicago right there, 30, 40 minutes. But anyway, so I was always obsessed with being funny. As a really young kid, I realized, I'm funny. And sometimes unintentionally. Sometimes I would just be doing something and if people would start laughing and I'm like, all right. And my dad's kind of like that too. I always describe my dad as like Kramer from Seinfeld, but drunk and not racist. That's how because of Michael Richards. But, He's just so physically like 6'4" and like kind of lanky and would just like walk in the door and you just laugh, you know? And then my mom was this brilliant storyteller, Irish. I don't know what it is about the Irish. They just are great storytellers and just so funny. Yeah. And so she taught me how to tell good stories and funny stories. And then my dad's physicality. And I think I just got that little mixture. And I was obsessed with making people laugh since I was little. I even wrote a letter to Lauren Michaels when I was like 9 or 10. I was like, "Dear Lauren, I'm going to make your show so funny when I'm older. I'll see you soon." And like he never got back to me, which is rude.
He should have. I mean, it's his loss, really, honestly.
So I ended up moving out to LA at 17. My friend was interning at a production company out here and was like, "Hey, do you want to sleep on my couch and pay me a little rent money and eat my food?" And I was like, "Yep." And because I was just going to do theater in Chicago and just do Second City and do all that. And I thought, why not? And I kind of sort of never left, and I got a commercial agent at 18. I booked the first commercial I went in on and I was like, this is easy. It's not. But I booked the first one I went in on. It was a Spanish cell phone commercial. And I just danced around in like a crop top with a cell phone. And I had no idea what they were saying. Like it was just so dumb. But then, years of struggling, I, became a drug addict for a bit.
As you do,
honey. As you do. Got very distracted. But, I started booking like little sitcoms, indie films. And then I would the second I would and a job. I would file for unemployment, and that would keep me going. And I was just barely working comedy actress.
Yeah.
And then around my mid-20s, I started seeing all these people making content online, and some of them were making money doing it. And I looked at it and went, total creative freedom. You could just post whatever you want, and it could hit a lot of people, and that's cool. At the end of the day, I thought I always wanted to be on a sitcom, but really I just wanted to make people laugh. So however I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so social media became this way where I didn't have to wait for a director to go, I like you, lanky blonde lady, I'll hire you. You know, like I didn't have to wait around for a director to hire me. I could just make my stuff. I could write a song about potatoes and post it. I could do that if I wanted to, and no one could stop me. So I did that, and I became obsessive around it. And I would post a video every single day for a year.
For a year. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And for about 6 months in, I had my first viral video. And then from there, I just kind of kept going.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's so amazing is that your comedy is so physical and it's so funny. I mean, like Help Helen Smash, like ridiculous, just so funny. And like, your characters are just, you're just not afraid of doing whatever it takes to make someone laugh, like you said.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I love that.
It's like my friends are like, you're just the same way you were when we were 12 and we spent hours prank calling 411 in my friend Holly's bedroom, and and they're all cracking up in the next room with the house phone on speaker listening, and I'm in the other room alone pranking for hours. They're like, you're the same person just now for millions of people, and before it was just us 10 or whatever.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that so much. So that's very, very cool. So you started going viral. And you were at that point, you were together with your husband at that point, Steven, right?
Yeah.
So and he started joining in on the videos. He was the straight man to your Helen.
Yeah.
And that must have been so interesting and you touch on it in the book about, kind of growing that business together, like just you're all encompassed, all working together. So how was that? That must have been so fun.
It really was. Yes, were we codependent? Absolutely. But when we met, he was a film composer scoring these big movies, and I was this barely working comedy actress. And then, he actually inspired me. He said, go, post your videos online. Stop waiting for people. You're funny. Just post your ideas. Don't wait around.
Right.
And I listened, and it took off to the point. And I would ask him, I'd be like, hey, can you score my Instagram video? And I'd have like a 15-piece orchestra on my Instagram video. And it was awesome. And then I started bringing him into videos. Oh, can you play my boyfriend? And I'll be a really obnoxious chewer for this date, or whatever the concept was for the sketch. And so we just kind of organically started working together. And then he was like, let's just go all in and just build this thing together, and I'll do the music and you write the comedy and we'll produce. And it was so fun. For many, many years, we had the best time ever. It was like, I got to work with my best friend, do what I love with a person I loved.
Yeah.
I mean, what a dream.
Yeah.
And it was, and it kept us close. And then I always thought about people who their husband goes to the office all day, or the wife goes to the office all day. And then by the time they get home, they're all tired, and how do you connect? But then I started getting envious of that, because the space is probably good too, and it makes you miss them. And ask about the day. So
they're just there all the time.
So it did work for a long time, and it was a blast. Yeah.
So fun. And then kids came into the picture. Mm-hmm. So talk about having 2 kids while building this empire.
Yeah, I mean, we started taking off, growing followers, brand deals, monetization. We bought a house in the hills with a pool, just the one on our vision board. And then it was just time. We were I was 31 at the time. And, I thought, let's do it. Let's have a baby. We've been married several years at this point, and we got pregnant with Alfie, my son. And I remember when I got pregnant, I was like, my career's over. What are all my characters going to be pregnant? How do I do this? Helen's pregnant, Pamela's pregnant. They're all, because at the time I was very character based.
Right.
And I was really nervous about that.
Yeah.
I remember I also got booked a pilot. They made a $1 million pilot around my Pamela Pupkin workout queen character. And we shot it when I was 4 months pregnant, and I hid the belly. and it didn't get picked up. And now it was wildly offensive. I get that now. But before I would write whatever I wanted. I didn't care about being politically correct or anything. And
Right.
but anyway, it didn't get picked up and I was devastated. And then but it turned out to be the best thing ever, because what I did instead was I just wrote about being pregnant and that I started peeing on myself a little bit when I sneezed and, and the waddling and the nesting period and all the funny things about being pregnant.
Yeah.
And once I started writing about that, about being pregnant and being a mom, it blew up even more because motherhood is not a niche. Most women are mothers. Isn't that crazy to think? Most women are mothers.
Yeah.
So I was all of a sudden, it wasn't just these absurd characters. I was writing about this universal experience, which brought a lot more women to me. And I wrote about it in a really funny, physical way.
Yeah.
So it helped the career. And then just having Alfie was, oh my God, like it was bliss. I mean, birth, it was horrific, obviously, it's crazy. But and postpartum, like that stuff is so tough. But Alfie, I remember like Steven's parents, my ex now, his parents came in, my parents came in, my family, and it was just like a really beautiful time. Just under 2 years later, we had my daughter, Poppy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when things started going south, I would say, after the birth of my daughter.
Yeah. So it feels like a little foreshadowing to the book. Dun, dun, dun. That's
that's when everything shifted.
I know. It is so
and that's
true.
When my life was never the same.
It was very true. I just am amazed at all you've been through. And also, like, so publicly, like everything kind of unraveled so publicly. You talk about that. What was it? The date August 2022 was when kind of that public meltdown happened of Stephen, your husband at the time. And you kind of woke up and got lots of pings about it. I mean, what is that like to go through a very public breakup on YouTube and Instagram, basically?
It was a very wild experience. And, it was a lot. And this is, I'm someone who I've vlogged my birth. So it's not like, but this was something that I wasn't anticipating going public. And I think that's why it just all happened so fast. It was lots of confusing things were happening. My ex was acting in a very strange way and I didn't know why. I didn't know at the time that he was back on drugs. I didn't know. And so I just saw this man who I didn't recognize. And then he became, abusive and threatening and scary.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was happening. And, I called the police and it was all so much. And at the time I had a 1 and a 3-year-old. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And then the next day or so, I get all these phone calls and texts. What's going on? Oh my God, are you okay? I'm praying for you. Is everything okay? Are you safe? Are you good? And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I haven't even told my mom about this, incident that I go into in detail in the book.
Yeah.
And then I look on YouTube and there's a video, from my ex that's like, I tried to kill myself. Like and subscribe, but like,
Oh my God.
And
So
I'm just
dark.
like, oh my God. Yeah. But then it's funny when I called him and I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you posting this to the world right now? Why aren't you talking to me? And he goes, well, that's what we do. We post all lives to the internet. That's what we do. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you're right. But then there's boundaries to that, or like we have to consent, but he is right. And then I'm going, man, did I create the monster? Like, because when I met him, he was like this very introverted composer in a studio, and I brought him out. Let's go. Let me sexually harass you with a square face. And like, and then now it's like, it is another addiction. It's not just him that's a recovering addict. I'm an addict too, and I'm in recovery. And I think we did become addicted to the success and the fame and the views and the money. And, you just do, right? They're almost designed that way, those apps. And so you have to be very careful. So anyway, long story long, it all got out there, and then it kind of just kept happening. I said to him, I don't feel safe because of some really disturbing things that happened. And I said, I think we need to separate, and I want you to get help. But you can't force someone to get help, right? They have to want it. But what I knew was he wasn't safe to be around me or the kids. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, who this man was, but he was not safe.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to separate. Next day, I wake up. Are you okay, Laura? Oh God, Laura, is everything all right? My fucking nanny's third cousin. Everything good? I'm like, who is this? How does everyone know? And then I look on YouTube and it's like a video. I separated from my wife. Okay. First of all, I initiated it. First of all.
It's the man taking credit for all the things again. What? What?
So it was that insanity, girl.
Yeah.
And it's like one would think like that was a bottom. And no, girl, we're just scratching the surface. Shit got so dark and scary and bad. And it kind of kept going like that for 3 years or so, we just now finally like signed the settlement and are officially divorced. Like it took nearly 4 years, you know?
It's, what a process. Well, and I think it sounded to me like from what I was reading is that your finances were really intertwined because of the business for so long. I mean, I was reading how you were at one time paying for both your mortgage and his.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
What? And
I did that until my water got shut off.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's time to stop.
Yeah. I saw that too. So you really you have that part where you talk about just really hitting bottom and you've got your 2 kids, your water is shut off. Like what's going through your mind at that point?
Oh, girl, I was 25 pounds lighter than I am now. I'm naturally pretty, I couldn't eat. I was traumatized. I was living in fight or flight, which, you already are raising a kid.
Yeah, that's
on
naturally.
the spectrum.
Yes, that's
Raising a
right.
kid.
We didn't even touch on the fact that you've got autistic child too in the mix there. Yeah.
All kids are hard work, but a kid that likes to elope and in the, middle of the night, So it's a lot. And so I just was in fight or flight. And, but I still think even when I completely ran out of money and I was enabling this addict and I didn't realize I was enabling him because I was still in deep denial and didn't believe he was on drugs. No, he's building his business. He's, no, he was high out of his goddamn mind. And I was paying for his house because I cared about him. And I also owed him so much. I felt like he helped me, motivated me, was my partner for so many years. The father of my kids, I still loved him, even though he was hurting me and so unkind and scary and threatening and all the things. I still loved him and it's codependency, And I was enabling, I guess I was, not letting him hit bottom, but I thought I was helping. I think a lot of people who have addicts in their family identify with that, right? Where you want to help them get on their feet, but in doing so, you're enabling and not allowing them to hit bottom.
Right.
It wasn't until I got a restraining order, stopped, paying the bills and got a restraining order is when I could finally start to heal because I had this like court ordered no contact. And it was the hardest thing I had to do,
Yeah.
hardest thing that I had to do.
That's amazing. And I mean, just what an experience. It, normally on our podcast, I ask about an unhinged moment in your mom life. I'm like, you've had a couple of years of unhinged moments here throughout the whole time. So, well, congratulations on your divorce. I know I always say that marriage isn't easy. Divorce isn't easy. None of it's easy. It's all really hard. So congratulations that is now final. There was one part in the book you talk about how you were funding your own smear campaign because you were helping him, but also are paying for him to post negative videos of you, basically.
Yeah. Isn't that insanity?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Cause I kept being surprised when it would happen again. He would like write about how, I was a terrible mom or just whatever, just horrible things about me.
Yeah.
And personal things. And just, it was very confusing. And Yeah, I
Yeah.
just can't even describe. It's like, who are you?
Right.
And now I know he was deep in his disease. He was on fentanyl and heroin and
Yeah.
these really hardcore drugs. The fact that he's alive is like wild, actually. Now, he is sober and it is like I like say he's like vintage Steven. He's like the guy that I met at that party in 2011 where, he was holding a bottle of water and I was like, wow, who's that hot guy in a suit holding a bottle of water? I gotta talk to him. And I just went up to him. I was like, hey, like, where'd you get your water? And he's like, pardon? I said, oh, I just love water so much. It's like so important to stay hydrated. So
Best
that was
pickup
the
line. Best
first
pickup
thing
line
I
ever.
see Helen. That was the birth of
Yeah.
Helen.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that was the first thing I ever said to him. And then,
That's awesome.
and then he was like, obviously you don't love water. You would have brought some yourself. And I was like, are you accusing me of not liking water? And we had this whole water back and forth. And then long story long, we both discovered we were both sober in recovery. And we met at a meeting the next day. And like we were engaged in 6 months and married in a year. And I was just 24. Yeah. And he was 36. And like I said, it was so good for many years.
Yeah.
And I don't look back and go, oh, I regret it. A lot of women and men, I wasted 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I get those feelings,
Right.
but I don't know. I think there's a lesson in everything and experience in everything.
Yeah.
And girl, there's fucking books. I even told him.
That's why I'm like, I think that more women should be in comedy because we have so much material, being moms, being, just the situations we've been through, all that stuff.
Oh my God, just sharing your story is so healing. Like I heard somewhere you're as sick as your secrets. And I love that. And growing up in the Midwest, it was very much, at least in my household, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about what's going on in the family. And then now my mom's like, okay, Laura, she accepts it and embraces it. And she'll come on my podcast and talk mad shit. She's an open book now. It's amazing. But it wasn't like that growing up.
Right.
And it is very healing telling my story. So even though this whole horrific separation, divorce, where, it got very bad to the point where I had got a restraining order. The LAPD were at my house every other day. The FBI was involved with the criminal investigation. DCFS got involved. It truly got so insane. I feared for my life in many ways. It's funny, the publisher at Time and Schuster was like, it reads like a thriller, but it's funny.
I know,
It's
it
like
does.
that.
It does. I was like, I'm on my phone reading it, but I was like, totally like going through. I was like, oh man, what's going to happen next? Shut up. I'm more in this. Yeah. So good.
So I think like rather than living in regret, I'm just like, that's my story.
Yeah.
And maybe this story will help or inspire another woman.
Yeah.
Who's in a situation she doesn't feel like she can get out of.
Right. Actually, I wanted to ask you that is like, what would you say to a mom, a woman who is in some similar situation where they're afraid for life, maybe they're dealing with a drug addict that has really erratic behavior and, they're not sure what to do. What advice would you give that woman?
Just baby steps, just one call one person and tell them, tell the truth, For me, there were things I kept to myself, or I would maybe just tell my sponsor, about what was really going on. But I think that's so important to like reach out, whether it's a therapist, a family member, a friend, and tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Get honest and share, because we can't do it alone. We can't do any of this alone. In fact, while I was going through my separation, my friend, one of my best friends, who also has 2 young kids, started coming over a lot. Oh, hey, can we come over? Yeah. Can we come over? Can we sleep over? Yeah. Can we stay like 2 nights? Yeah. Can we like maybe stay 3? Sure. And confided in me about her relationship, that he was, alcoholic and raging and screaming and scaring the young kids. And she was terrified.
Yeah.
And now she is going through a divorce because she opened up about it. She had that courage to share. For so many years, it was a secret. She didn't want people to know.
Yeah.
So I think that it's like, we can't do it alone. We can't do
Right.
any of this alone.
Right.
So getting honest and then you just take those small steps, and don't pay their mortgage.
I think that's a really good one. Don't do that. Don't do that. But it is all like it's just like the frog in the boiling water. You don't really know how hot it's getting until you like look back with perspective and say, "Wow, why did I do that?" So
Yeah.
is there any advice that you would give your younger self or anything that you would coach your younger self on throughout this whole thing?
I was going to get the first time he lost his mind on me and broke into my house and threatened me. I was on my way to get a restraining order and then ultimately did not go through with it. And it took another 3 years for me to do it. I would have told myself to do it then. I had a psychiatrist who was like, you don't need to get one. You guys need to get along. And I was like, but I'm scared. And he was like, it's best if you guys stay friends. No, I'm not kidding you. Now, and I can't blame him, but girl, like I was like, okay, but I really am scared. And he was like, no, I just got off the phone with him because he was like our couple's psychiatrist or whatever. And he was like, he seems good. Like he's not going to do it again. Like he's going to get help. Like just try and be peaceful when you're going through this divorce. You don't want to get the courts involved type thing.
Oh,
that was a
man.
mistake. My gut, I know. And it's funny because every woman
I know,
that I said
right?
that to was like, oh God.
I know, the
And, like,
women. I know.
Yeah, the women.
I
They
know.
all were, they knew. The women knew. The men were like, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
And so I listened ultimately. And I wish I did that, not just for me and my safety, but also for him, actually, because he would have hit bottom sooner had I done that and either he would have died or he would have, gotten sober and straightened his life out. But so I think like enabling an addict is bad for everyone. It's bad for the addict, it's bad for me, it's bad for the kids, it's bad for everyone. So that's what I would have done is taken action, walked, and I was in fear. I was so scared of what would happen if I did do it. And I was so scared. But that's what I would have done differently is done it right away.
Yeah.
One time is one time too many.
Yeah.
It's, oh, he won't do it again. Or he didn't punch me in the face.
I know that line seems to move, right? That like, yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And you justify and it
Yeah.
could be worse.
Yeah.
And no one's perfect. And I'm
Right.
a recovering addict. I've made mistakes. You just play these mind games in your head and justify the behavior. But that's what I would have done differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would just say to any woman out there, like, you can get through it and, you can be hotter on the other side. Honestly,
That's
I got to
right.
say, I love my life today. I've got running water.
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids who are amazing.
Yeah.
I have incredible friends, a women's support group I go to every Friday that I love. And I write about it in the book because it changed my life. Because again, we can't do any of this alone. And I go there and I deeply share and deeply listen to other women. And I just feel so full and abundant, my life. To the point where I don't think I'll ever get married again. And now this could just be a phase, but that's where I'm at.
That happens with a lot of moms and a lot of people who are fulfilled. We're like, well, maybe we don't need that in our lives because sometimes it doesn't bring peace. It brings disruption. So
yeah, I'm not saying I can't date.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Have some fun.
I know. I just want to touch on, I know we are running out of time, but I also wanted to just touch on your son, Alfie, who is autistic and it sounds like you've just been so good at processing all of that and kind of working through all that and learning so much and sharing so much about what that's like to raise an autistic son. How has that changed you as a mother?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's the biggest challenge, but also so rewarding. I feel like he is so connected to God. And I don't even necessarily mean God in the religious sense, just like universe, love, higher power. I don't know. He is just connected. Like he's one with nature. Yeah. He'll just stare into your eyes for like 20 minutes, just deeply stare with the most loving. And I'm like, he's just staring into my soul and just holding me. And, and it's not like my daughter does. Like my daughter is so awesome in so many ways. he's just on this different like plane.
Yeah.
Kids on the spectrum, I find. It's like they're not operating at the same level. It's really interesting. But so I think like he just makes me a better person. Like he'll wake me up and he'll go, walk, walk. And wants to take a 3-mile walk. And it's like, would I have done that had he not suggested? No. And he like forces me out in nature, forces me to be present. And it's really interesting. Whenever I find myself, like I'll wake up in the morning sometime and I'll start working. When I do that, all of a sudden, like this morning, I'm like, I want to do 1 hour, no work, just prayer, meditation, be with my kids, and then take them to school, and then I can start work. Well, I didn't do that this morning. We got up and I'm making him breakfast, but then I go into my bedroom and I'm looking at work emails and seeing what I have to do. And then Alfie comes in, he goes, almond butter, almond butter. And I go, almond butter? And he goes, almond butter on floor.
Oh.
And it's like, oh shit, Alfie. But I swear to you, and I go in there and the kitchen floor is covered in almond butter. And he just has this like big grin on his face. But what I find so interesting, and I've noticed this, is when he does shit like that, it's when I'm doing something I shouldn't do, or like that I said I shouldn't do. And I don't know if this is crazy town or not.
Yeah.
But had I been present like I said I would in the morning, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But I got into work mode and then almond butter happened. And shit like that happens all the time where I'll like be focused on something that's not the best for me, or distracted by even scrolling TikTok, right? And then he gets into something else and it's like, well shit, had I been present, I don't know. So
it's
he
just,
kind of just right,
it's just like spiritual accountability,
Yes. And it's like, how did you know?
Yeah.
He was diagnosed just under 2. He was diagnosed with level 3 severe autism is what they said, that he might never speak, might never be independent. It was pretty devastating to hear that. I didn't know much about autism then. Now he's speaking in sentences. He's drawing advanced shapes on the driveway. He knows more shapes than I do. Decagon, nonagon, octagonal prism. What? Mommy, draw pentagon. Mommy has to Google pentagon because mommy doesn't know how to draw a pentagon. He's so adventurous and fun and loving and also incredibly mischievous and will elope and give me a heart attack. And he's escaped. And I write about that in the book. He eloped to the grocery store and got Sour Patch Kids. Oh my God. And the cops found him. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. That's
1.4 miles away from my home.
That is wild. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, this has been, and Laura, this has been so much fun. And you guys out there, you guys have to get this book, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Hotter. It is coming out on July 14th. Get it wherever you can. And also go, like I did, go follow Laura all over the place, binge watch her videos because they're so funny, so much fun. You will love them. And Laura, why don't you just let our audience know where they can find you, where the best place is to connect with you?
Yeah. Thank you so much. You're awesome, by the way. And I love your glasses and the blue. And it's my favorite color. I'm just like, ooh, yeah. It's just my name everywhere at Laura Clery, Laura Clery. Just type that in to whatever social platform you prefer. I'm all over all of them. And I also narrate. I narrate the book, which is fun. I know, like for busy moms, you can just like listen in the car, like on your walks or something like that. And it's fun, to listen to. Everyone has their preference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, for coming on our show and taking time out, and just love your stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you so much, fellow Midwesterner, suburb of Chicago. Yes, that's right.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, share, and follow us on the socials to get more comedy clips.